Hello guys, it is early in the morning Tuesday of week 2 of the Wizardly Readathon, and I have a small update. One, I was reading The Water Outlaws, as you guys know, and I came up against something that I don't like reading about. So there are content warnings at the very beginning of this book that really explain a lot of what's going on and what you're going to get into. But there is something very specific to me and to my brain and what I like to read and all of that stuff. So it didn't work for me. It really didn't work for me. And I had to DNF it. So I will not be finishing that book. That does mean that I get to add the Judas Blossom back onto my TBR for this month. I'm very excited about that. And I purchased Shattered Spirits by Cal Black. If you guys have been around for any amount of time, you will know I absolutely love No Land for Heroes. It is up there on my favorite shelf, kind of hard to see. Ray's kind of in the way right there, but it's the orange one. I love that book so much. I love Millie and I love Cal Black's writing. Talked about it before, but I went ahead and picked up Shattered Spirits. This is a horror novella that she wrote, and I've been so excited for it, to the point that Cal actually mentioned how excited I've been for it in the acknowledgments. And so I'm very excited to have this in my hands. I had no idea that she had put me in the acknowledgments, but it's so sweet, so sweet. And I had mentioned it on Andrew's Wizardly Reads channel, and hang on, let me get back there. There's Andrew as well, so I was like, we're both in it. But this has been really good. Of course, this is a novella, so it does not count for the readathon, and I've had issues sitting down to read, so I'm only about halfway through. I should finish this today, though. I didn't have any time to read yesterday, and I thought I was going to just like finish this off in one setting because I should be able to. But physical reading time has been horrendous. I just don't have time to sit down and read a book. And so I went ahead and started The Last Mile in Sunder City by Luke Arnold. I'm really enjoying this. There is like a casualness about the narration by Fetch in this story that I am just really, really into. I don't know why. It has been a really long time since I have read urban fantasy, but this one just is getting me. And I don't want to make this comparison. I really don't. But Robert Galbraith's books, which if you guys know, J.K. Rowling is actually Robert Galbraith. This has a similar vibe to it. Of course, this is fantasy leaning, whereas the other ones that I mentioned are not. But initially, I really liked the way those books were narrated as well. And I hated giving up the series, but I really didn't want to read the controversial book, and that was midway through series. So I ended up DNFing the series. And that's where we are with that. But anyway, I'm loving The Last Mile in Sunder City, and I'm actually really excited to see where this goes. I do have the whole series. This is one that I had seen Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and I had seen Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative. Both of them really, really enjoyed this series, and so I ended up buying the whole series based on their recommendations. But let me see, I'm 88 pages into this, so we'll see if I can get some of this read today. Like I said, I'm hoping to finish Shattered Spirits today. And I do have a few arcs that I need to get to, but they're going to, like, my physical reading time, it's just gone down the drain. So we shall see. But I'm not really sure what the next book I'm going to pick up is. Obviously, I still need to finish this one, so I'll check in with you guys whenever I've made progress. And I'm still really excited about the way this readathon is going. I might actually join a readathon for next month as well. I've said I won't join readathons because they put too much pressure on me, and I don't always like building a TBR because I've been such a mood reader. But the upcoming readathon is Becca's Bookopoly, but this time it's Spookopoly. So I'm kind of excited about that and would like to see how that plays out because the board is really cool and it's definitely geared towards horror and mystery. And I'd like to see what I could do because horror is my favorite genre. I'd like to see what I could do within that readathon. And one of the new rules, or I guess it's kind of been an unspoken rule of the readathon, is that you can roll as you go, and that helps with the mood reading. So I might do that, which does mean that I won't have a TBR for Spookopoly, but I might go ahead and make a fall TBR of all of the books that I want to get to during spooky season, which should go up any day now if I do that. Because, or it might even go up before you see this because this is a vlog. But that will give me at least a stack of books to pick from, and I probably will try to fit some books that are like fantasy but mystery leaning, like Empire of Exiles. That's one that I have been wanting to get to for a really long time. I might even try to fit the Thursday Murder Club in, even though, you know, it's a book that I'm not sure I'm actually even gonna like, but I've been trying the cozies to see if they work for me, and some have, some haven't. I think there just needs to be a really good story for me to get invested in it. I don't do the all vibes types of books, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this readathon, and I'm excited about the readathons I've participated in because I've learned this year, as long as the readathons are low stakes, which I feel like Bookopoly is also low stakes, because you're not really competing with anybody. It's just you're competing with yourself and you're trying to knock out books from your shelves. I feel like the low stakes readathons really help me with my reading goals. I'm like 9 books ahead of schedule right now, according to Goodreads. And I think that's because I have been focusing on the low stakes readathons. And I know I have added some really short books to that because this is going to be added into that. I don't care. A book is a book and I'm counting it. And I know there's some people who are like, you can't count novellas, you can't count short stories. Well, guess what? I say you can, and my life, my rules. So, all right, I will check in with you guys when I get a little bit further along in either of these, which, like I said, I should finish this soon this morning, and I will check in with you guys when I get to this, and we will see what I read next, how I feel about this, all that stuff. All right, guys, I have just finished The Last Mile in Sunder City. It's sitting over there. I don't feel like picking it up. I have to say, I liked this one fine. It was fine. It was very reminiscent of Dresden, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Dresden Files, so it was hard to really get engaged in the story. I'm gonna pull my blanket down here because I need to be a little bit more cozy. So I don't consider it a win all that much because it was fine. It was one that I owned the entire series for, and I'm totally bummed that I didn't like it because I was really excited about finding urban fantasy that I love again. And I do think I prefer female authors for urban fantasy. I think I'm going to try Alice James. Yes, Grave Secrets. That is one that a couple of my friends have told me I would really enjoy. And they're very reminiscent of what I used to read, like the Laurel K. Hamilton, the Cressley Coles. And so I'm very excited about that aspect. Like, even though this one didn't work out for me, I still have options. I still have things that I'm looking forward to. So I am exhausted, completely exhausted. And I'm ready to throw in the towel, not just for like this readathon. Like, today I'm ready to throw into the towel. Like, everything is crashing down just a bit. My husband's schedule changed, so that meant the school schedule changed. That meant my schedule changed. It's so much to do at once. My uploading schedule has changed. The ability to just sit down and record videos has changed. So I'm just exhausted. I'm sleepy. I want a nap. That's where we are right now. I do feel like the readathon is going pretty well. Maybe not as good as I'd hoped, but really 2 books a week for the readathon. I mean, that's really all you need to get your 8 books. With that in mind, I am going to go with the buddy read. For the Rangers on the Discord, I'm going to start The Blood of the Spear by Mark Timoney. I've had this on my shelves for a while. I won it on Twitter and have been really excited to get to it. I know classic fantasy doesn't always work for me, epic fantasy doesn't always work for me, but with how well I loved Blood of an Exile, like, I think I'm really just ready to go back to that. Urban fantasy, I don't know. I'm gonna have to find one that I really enjoy. I do have Simon R. Green to try because I've been wanting to try more male authors in urban fantasy, but I'm thinking that I kind of just need to stick with female authors for urban fantasy. What are you doing, Joseph? I think that'll look awesome.
Hi, guys.
My little artist coming back here to tell me what he's about to paint on his canvas. So, very fun, very fun. So, Blood of the Spear, like I said, this is epic fantasy. This is something that I've been looking forward to. I do have a tendency to go one way or the other with all of this stuff. My alarm is telling me to go cook dinner, but yeah. I know book 2 is in the works of this, so I'm pretty excited to jump on this, and hopefully book 2 will come along soon. Yeah, just very, very excited and very, very tired. I'll see you guys in my next update. Alright guys, hello. It is Sunday. So I was supposed to have this vlog up on Friday, and I got a really bad sinus headache. Really, really bad sinus headache. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I need to eliminate the sinus headache. I can't read. My ears were clogged up because of my sinuses, and it hurt. And so I was like, okay, this is painful. I need to get rid of this. It also meant that I couldn't listen to audiobooks because everything sounded like it was coming in underwater. And I did not read anything for 2 days. I listened to music, kind of pulled up my writing playlists because you guys know I write some fan fiction, and so I was having a lot of fun with that. But I did end up finishing Shattered Spirits. This is by Cal Black, the same author of No Land for Heroes, who I absolutely adore. And this is creepy. Such a perfect read for this time of year because it gives like the whole, I don't want to explain anything because the book is so short, but there's this woman who is a historian, archaeologist, I believe. And she goes to an island that she knows is kind of under siege. It's always been protected, and it's been protected by the god of the island. And Ishkarin, I believe, is how you pronounce that. And something has happened that has been completely devastating to all of the inhabitants of the island. And she's trying to figure out what has actually happened. And she's trying to figure out how she is going to stop all of these events from spreading and save herself, save the people she's with. It's really, really creepy and really, really fun. I loved the ending of this story. I thought it was really cool. And I kind of don't want to tell you what the creatures are in this or how it happens because that it being so short, that's kind of part of the joy of discovery with novellas like this. And I'll just say that a weapon has been unleashed, and the bomb that has, well, it's a bomb. And the bomb is ripping souls from people's bodies. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Because I do feel like sometimes it's harder to pick up a novella when you don't exactly know what you're getting into. But this was fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. I know I'm not big on giving stars on this channel because I do really like to give a review that the star rating doesn't weight what I have to say about the book, whether it's a 3-star or a 5-star. I do like pointing out the obvious 5 stars though, because that lets you guys know that I absolutely loved it. And this one I absolutely loved. Now let's talk about my readathon book because something happened. So I picked up Blood of the Spear by Mark Timoney. I've been very excited to get to this. Like I said before, I've had it on my TBR for such a long time, and I got about 3 or 4 chapters in. I think this says 3, but I'm much further than that now, so I'm not really sure if that's where I stopped. because I have been immersive reading this, and then when I can, and then doing the audio. But guys, I was trying to get rid of my headache, and my aromatherapy thing just decided to have a hissy fit. It got knocked over and it spilled, and it went all over this book, and I didn't realize it until it was way too late. So like this much of the book is damaged. I posted about it on Twitter, and Mark was so kind, so kind. He said he would send me another copy of the book. This is still readable, and most of what is damaged is the glossary part of it. So like that is what's damaged of what like I actually need to read, but still like this is destined for the trash, guys, because it's so jacked up. And at first, I didn't think I was going to be able to hold it without it falling apart, because this cover is so completely damaged. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, like, it looks like it's going to fall apart. Like, just holding it like this. But it got entirely soaked through, and, like, I thought, like, the whole back cover was just going to come off. But anyway. So I had to kind of just set it aside and let it dry so that I could still immersive read and get the most out of it that I possibly could. But that does mean that I didn't ever get very far. I think I'm actually about 5 chapters into this now. And I will say, this is classic epic fantasy. There's not a whole lot of what I like about modern fantasy in this, but I'm not hating it right now. I'm actually enjoying this story. It's much more fast-paced than what I had anticipated, and it's a little confusing right now, just slightly. Not too bad, but it is a little confusing. But I do think it's a book that I can settle into once I actually start like really getting into the story. This is going to drive me nuts, guys. It's going to drive me nuts. As you guys know, I don't keep my books in the most perfect, pristine condition, but you know, like this is about reading it. Like the way it feels, like I feel like this is going to come off. It's going to come off, and that bothers me. But I don't think I really went over what this book was about. But I know it's 2 brothers right now. When I know of it, there are 2 brothers that kind of have this prophecy on them, and it's a little bit more of a dark prophecy from what I'm understanding so far. And one of them was training to be like a demon hunter, and then I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything because this is very early on in the story, loses the trial due to him being kind-hearted. And then the other brother kind of got left behind and had to take care of his mother while she was dying. So it's kind of interesting so far. I do see a lot of tropes that, again, I don't really like classic fantasy because I feel like they're all a little bit samey. So I am coming up against some tropes like that. Obviously, we have the prophecy, the chosen one, whatever, what have you. I am liking that the creatures are varied throughout this story. I am coming across some very interesting things. And as you can see, like from the cover, and I'll show you the back cover, even though it's a little jacked up, there are some pretty interesting creatures that we will be encountering. And I do like that the 2 brothers are so very different. The way he's written the brothers, they have 2 different voices, and I appreciate that a lot, because there's like John Gwynne, his first book, Malice, there was a lot of stuff where I was like, who am I following? Who am I following again? Who am I following again? Because the voices weren't all that different and the descriptions were horrible. I love The Faithful and the Fallen, guys. I just want to point that out. But this one, I'm not having that problem with. So I do feel like just the fact that the brothers themselves are different and their narration is different, the way that they speak and carry themselves is different, is actually leading me on a good path. But I don't have much to say because of the little debacle that I had, and the fact that I'm fairly certain I was close to a sinus infection. I didn't quite get one, but all of the symptoms were there. So I had quite a bit of issues with that. And I do think that while I wait for another physical copy, because it's already on its way, I've already talked to Mark about it, and he said it's already on its way, or will be very soon. I will have time to read this before the month closes out. But I think I'm going to pick up something that's a little lighter, maybe The Measure. and go from there, because right now, I don't know, with my headache happening, school happening, this happening, I feel like I just need something light to balance this out right now. So that's where I am. All right, guys. I don't know if I'm going to end this vlog here or if I will check in with you guys one more time before I upload the vlog. Like I said, it's Sunday, so Sundays are usually gaming days for us. There's not a whole lot that we do throughout the weekend other than, you know, going to the park, maybe going out to the Blue Hole, getting some swimming in. But we are gamers on the weekends, so yeah. I feel like this was a very uneventful vlog. And I do apologize for that. Not every week for me is interesting, and I don't know how so many YouTubers like make their lives interesting, because mine is just kind of boring. I'm a stay-at-home mom who homeschools, and my husband works. He helps me out throughout the day sometimes, but there's just not a whole lot to tell you guys right now. All right, that is it for me. Like, subscribe if you want. If you want to connect with me in any other way, my links are in a link tree link down below, and I will see you later.